I must be honest, I'm not usually one to believe in curses. I'm one of those skeptics that believes that behind every curse, there's a rational timeline of events, and there's always a fundamental reason for something to happen over and over again. Not with Leclerc and Monaco, however. Leclerc is straight up cursed, and at this point it's basically scientifically proven. But how deep exactly does this Monaco curse run, and can he finally fight off those demons by winning around the streets of Monte Carlo? To really show you how bad this curse is, we have to go all the way back to 2017. In 2017, Leclerc wasn't even in Formula 1. He was a rookie in Formula 2 and coming into Monaco, which was the third round of the championship, he was actually leading the championship after the first 2 rounds. Things actually started really well. He set pole position on his Monaco debut, and at the start he also got a clean getaway and left the first corner still in P1. In Monaco, pole position and the first corner is basically 80% of the race, but from here it all went straight into the Monaco harbour. As usual, Monaco threw up a few incidents, with both Louis Delatraz and Robert Vizoiu deciding to park it casually into the barriers. This brought out the safety car, at which point Leclerc decided to pit from the lead, and when he came out, something went wrong with his front left tyre, which was shaking more than a 2022 Mercedes. That then meant that again he had to come into the pits, but by then it was all over as he had to retire from the race. But hey, just bad luck, right? Luckily, Leclerc had a chance to quickly bounce back from that misfortune, as the next day it was the sprint race in Monaco. But starting low down and fighting through the field, trying to make something happen, unfortunately he had a few scrapes trying to pass around the tight streets of Monaco, and in the end he had to retire from the sprint race as well. But hey, just bad luck, right? Anyway, moving into 2018, life was good. Leclerc was now in F1, living the dream racing for Sauber Alfa Romeo, and coming into his home Grand Prix and the 6th race of the season. At this point, he was already being linked to the Ferrari seat after only 6 races. Considering the car that he had, his home race was actually going alright. He was running in P12, fighting with Brendan Hartley in P11, and then, with just 6 laps to go, his brakes decided that they didn't want to brake anymore, which sent Leclerc crashing into the back of Hartley and crashing out of his first home Grand Prix. But hey, just bad luck, right? 2019 rolls around and life is not just good, life is great. Leclerc, in only his 2nd year, is a Ferrari driver and actually has a car that is capable of poles and wins. Charles heading into quali had actually set the fastest time in FP3 and genuinely had the car and the pace to fight for pole and then his first win at his home track. However, quali was a disaster. After setting a banker lap in Q1, Leclerc then went on to make a few mistakes like locking up on a set of fresh softs and then missing the weighbridge. This left the team a little bit tight on time, but still able to get him out to set a quicker lap. However, sitting P12 big brain Ferrari decided to gamble and keep Leclerc in the garage to save a set of tyres. Great choice. Track evolution bit them massively on the backside as everyone improved on their previous laps, and Leclerc, watching it all happen from his garage, went from P12 to P16 and out in Q1. The race was then equally as bad. Leclerc tried to make something happen once again, pulling off some good overtakes at first, but Monaco is a track that bites, and whilst trying to overtake Hulkenberg, he clipped the inside barrier, spun the car, and then also got a puncture which completely wrecked his floor. And that was all she wrote for Monaco 2019. But hey, just bad luck, right? Then came 2020 when life definitely wasn't good. This was the year of the pandemic, and with loads of races being cancelled, unsurprisingly Monaco was also one of them, and so for that year there was no Monaco Grand Prix. Having said that, looking at how bad the 2020 Ferrari SF1000 was, I am going to say that it was probably a blessing in disguise for Charles. And so, in a weird way, 2020 was also his cleanest and best Monaco Grand Prix to date. Then we get to 2021. Life got a whole lot better for Leclerc as Ferrari improved, and this was one of those strange races where even though Ferrari were very much a midfield team, much like in Baku, the car had the pace to genuinely challenge for pole. And even if it wasn't as strong in the race, around Monaco, pole position and a good start is all you need. In qualifying, Leclerc delivered on the car's potential, and after their first runs in Q1, he was on pole by over 2/10 from Max Verstappen. And then things got interesting. Whilst being on provisional pole, Leclerc was one of the first out on the track for their second runs, and as he was going past the swimming pool, he clipped the inside barrier, which then sent the car hopping over the curb, and then he crunched it into the barrier. This brought out the red flag and ended the session, automatically handing pole position to Leclerc. Needless to say, the drivers behind him who were improving on their times weren't exactly happy.
Man. Oh, this would have been the lap. Yeah.
However, in the race, Leclerc outdid himself yet again. He didn't crash out late on like in 2018, he didn't crash out early on like in 2019, he didn't even get to start the race. Although Ferrari assessed the damage after the crash and thought that everything was fine, when the car did eventually get out on the track for the laps to the grid, they found out that the car had sustained a drive shaft problem from the crash, and so for the third, fourth, maybe fifth year in a row, he still didn't get to the end of a race at Monaco, let alone actually won it. But hey, just bad luck, right? Now, I'd love to tell you that the story ends there, but it doesn't. Leclerc decided to dust off the Monaco cobwebs by taking Niki Lauda's 1974 Ferrari for a spin, quite literally, in the 2022 Monaco Historic. And coming towards the end of his run and going into Rascasse, he dropped it and put yet another Leclerc dent into the barriers. Now, to his credit, he didn't actually do anything wrong because guess what? The brakes actually failed as he was driving around. Now, where have we heard that one before? And in the end, I'm not gonna lie, he actually spun it with quite a lot of skill to going backwards first because that could have been a lot worse. But hey, say it with me, just bad luck, right? Jesus Christ. That is the current history of the Leclerc Monaco curse, but getting back to the here and now, and in all seriousness, Charles, after crashing Lauda's Ferrari, actually put up a post on his Instagram and Twitter acknowledging the bad luck that he's had around Monaco, and by him acknowledging it, that now means that in some capacity, all of these crashes and incidents are going to be in the back of his mind. This weekend for Charles just couldn't be any bigger. He's always had pace around Monaco in whatever machinery he's driven, and looking at how strong both he and Ferrari have been in qualifying in 2022, there is a huge amount of expectation on his shoulders. Then when you add that he is in a genuine title battle, and that last time out in Spain he retired from what looked like a surefire win, and on top of all of that, that Max Verstappen has now took the lead of the World Championship, this weekend with all of the off-track jokes and the on-track pressures, Charles Leclerc is going to be tested in this race probably more than he's ever been tested before. I think this curse can actually be a motivation for him this weekend. First of all he needs is just a clean weekend, even if it doesn't mean winning the race. But if he does manage to win the Monaco Grand Prix, that would release a huge amount of pressure off his shoulders, it would give him a massive amount of confidence, and it would also mean that he would most likely retake the lead of the championship. Curses only remain curses for as long as they're not broken, and this weekend Leclerc has his best ever chance of showing that a silly little curse will not slow him down. Well, there you have it, another video in the bag. If you did enjoy this one, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, that would be massively appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.